Chapter 11.1, Parallel and Perpendiculars. This chapter should be a little bit of a review. I'm sure you've all seen parallel and perpendicular lines before. We're going to talk about them in terms of their slope and get to know them a little bit better. In your notes you can write that parallel lines never intersect and they are in the same distance apart. If we think back to lines that we've seen talking about their slopes, when a line is parallel to another line, it will never intersect. So if you think about it, they're going to have the same rate of change there. So they're going to have the same rise, same run, same rise, same run. So they have the same slope. So add that to your notes. Perpendicular lines are lines that meet at a right angle, okay, or 90 degrees. And we're going to talk about their slopes as well. The slopes of perpendicular lines end up being the negative reciprocals of each other. So slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, we're going to talk about some quadrilaterals, name them and talk about their characteristics and how they pertain to parallel and perpendicular lines. The first one we're going to talk about is a rectangle. A rectangle has four right angles and has opposite sides, meaning across from each other, that are parallel and congruent. So congruent means equal, meaning that this side is equal to that side, and that's a little congruent marking. When two lines or line segments have the same marking, they are congruent or they are equal, so this side is congruent to that side. Next shape we're going to talk about is a square, and you guys all know that a square has four right angles and four congruent sides, and see there that we have the same marking on all sides to show congruence. Next one we're going to talk about is a parallelogram. A parallelogram has characteristics that our opposite sides are parallel, so this side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. Opposite sides are also congruent, so this side is congruent to this side, and you can see there that these marks mean the sides are parallel, and since they are the same marking, they're also congruent. Last quadrilateral we're going to talk about is a rhombus, and a rhombus has four congruent sides, so notice that all four of these sides are the same, and then they are also have opposite sides which are parallel. Okay, so if we look at an example here, we have triangle ABC is formed by connecting points 1, 3 over 1 up 3, 9, 5, and 10, 1. We're asked, is it a right triangle? Well, we can see here that if it were a right triangle, I'm going to assume that our right angle would be here. So we're asked to find out, does this line meet this line at a perpendicular, a 90-degree angle? So are these lines perpendicular to each other? We can do that by finding the slope of the two lines, simply by using rise and run. So let's find the slope of this line AB, and I'll do that in red. Our rise, we rise from 3 to 5, so our rise is 2. We run from 1 to 9, so our run is 8. So our slope equals 1/4. That's the slope of line AB. Next, let's talk about the line BC, which goes from 9, 5 to 10, 1. So here we rise a negative from -5 to -1, or from 5 to 1. So we rise a -4. We run from 9 to 10, so a +1. And that would be the slope of line segment BC. Notice that those slopes here, 1, 4, and -4 over 1, are negative reciprocals. So we flipped the fraction, 1/4 became 4/1, and our signs are opposite. And obviously when you have two lines that are going to be perpendicular to each other, one is going to have to be going up, one's going to be going down, unless you have perpendiculars at a horizontal and vertical line. So we can conclude that this is a right triangle because this is a right angle, because we know that perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So we have a right triangle here, ABC. For class, I want you to classify the polygon that goes from A, B, C to D, and classify that as one of the 4 types we looked at here. So you are going to have to get some graph paper and graph this. If you want to do that online, since you have online access, you can do that, or you can just kind of write it out if you don't have graph paper at home. Make a quick plot here, x and y's. It looks like our greatest x is 4, so you're going to have to go from 4 to -4, looks like is our smallest x, and then from -1 to 4. So you don't have to make that big of a graph if you want to graph that polygon, and then classify that for class.